A Shalom, and also Shabbat Shalom. I want to start by saying, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahushai, Kahalama Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kudash, and also double honor to the apostles, the other bishops, and the elders grandmothers on the rule well, and also Shalom to sincere Akimah pushing truth in the name of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kudash, who happen to be scattered around the four corners of the earth. And I'm back here again with another lesson. And this lesson is going into, something that, me and the brother from JMS Melbourne, we share this right here, what you see, was article. And then from there, we waited just to see if this will hit the news, if it will be spoken on, the mainstream news. And I want to say it might have, or it might not have been, I think it did hit the mainstream news. So, but we waited just to see what's really going on with these Australia's fuel supply concerns, right? And real quick, let me see if I can do this. Right, here we go. Right, start it. I gotta sneeze. Right, he says here, right. Australia is alarming fuel levels could see nation shut down in less than 1 month. There are few supermarket shelves could be stripped bare and hospitals shut down within days as critical supply runs low, right? So this was on October 17th. Okay. All right. It says Australia's supply of diesel, petrol, and jet fuel is running critically low and puts the nation and residents at serious security threat. This is an independent senator has warned. Figures from the Department of Climate Change, Energy, the Environment and Water, right, DCCEEW, revealed the country has less than 1 month's worth of domestic supplies, including 28 days of petrol, 24 days of diesel, and 20 days of jet fuel. Australia only has 2 refineries and relies on imports of petroleum from the likes of Singapore, South Korea, and Japan, putting the nation in a vulnerable position. You see, the low levels of supply leave Australia in an awful situation. Former independent senator Rexy Patrick described. It's really the neglect of successive governments to deal with what is a national security issue, he said on Sky News. If there's a conflict in that, and it doesn't have to be conflict with Australia, but something that disrupts our fuel supplies coming from the Strait of what is it? Oh man, how you say it? Hormuz, a shipping route supplying 20% of global oil consumption, or Singapore, we are in trouble. Despite the warning, a spokesman of for Chris Bowen, the Minister of Climate Change and Energy, said Australia was fuel secure. He said the nation now holds more stocks of aviation fuel, petrol, and diesel than at any time in the last 15 years. However, Mr. Patrick said shortfall in fuel supply will cause huge issues. While most Aussies will likely fear not being able to fill up their vehicles, Mr. Patrick argues the biggest concern was about supermarkets and hospitals. Most of our country relies on diesel fuel, which is right. That's how the truck move. All right. Okay, the trucks, most vehicles, even those vehicles that are being used on farms, they all rely on diesel. Okay, these are new vehicles, like, your 4-wheel drive and all that, youths, most of them run on diesel. All right. So shit, hey, if this is legit, the country's going, hey man, Australia is about to be in chaos. Okay. So most of our country relies on diesel fuel. That's what keeps all the trucks rolling. You hear that? The trains rolling that keep all the supplies coming to us. The former senator said. He flagged supermarkets are usually stocked with 10 days of dry food and about a week of frozen, while hospitals have 3 days worth of drugs before it dries up. But these key supply chains could come to a rapid stop with shelves left bare and no drugs for patients if fuel runs out. 24 days of diesel is simply not enough, man. Mr. Patrick's added. But that's not only the concern. Australia is stuck here. Just bear with me. Right, it says stuck here. But that's not the only concern. Australia's oil supply level is also reaching near records low, with only 48 days left of the net oil imports as of July, an International Energy Agency report said. All right, and the article goes on. But what I'm gonna do is, I just want to make sure this hit the mainstream news, and which it did. This is on news.com.au. Okay. So what I'm gonna do from here is I'm gonna get a precept real quick, because what you don't realize is this here is again, it's a man-made type of an event if it takes place. All right, because one thing I can say is it's like living in Australia. Of course I do go and purchase fuel. Even right now, I just got back from the gas station. So if that's the case, if we running out of fuel, right? Or we call it fuel. American call it gas. I want to say, I don't know what they call it, fuel. I don't know which one. Which one is which, whatever they call it. But I just went to the gas station, and fuel right now is cheap. I use petrol, which is the regular unleaded fuel, right? It's pretty cheap. It's really cheap right now. So is ISO doing this on purpose? Because why is fuel cheap right now? You know what I mean? Fuel is cheap right now. Okay. It's when fuel is expensive in Australia, it's 1 liter is costing us $2.18, $2.25, right? But right now, it's costing 1 liter is costing us $1.60, 66 cents, 68 cents. Some few station gas is right now, I want to say 1 liter. If this mainstream gas station are running 1 liter for 168, you do have those few stations that sell gas for probably 140, $1.48, $1.50 right now somewhere. So is Issa doing this on purpose? Let's wait and see. All right. So 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. Let Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. This could be a major, and a major event to take place over here in Australia, having people in chaos. Having people, in this type of survival mode, man. This will be another pandemic, to be honest with you. This will be worse than C-19. And remember what Klaus said. Okay? Remember what he said, man. Let me get another one. Because this right here will cause, fear. It will cause chaos among man. Right? This is the book of Luke 21 and verse 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity. Right? With perplexity. Okay, you see that? Let's read this in a different translation. Right here. Luke 21:25 in the AMP, there will be signs attesting miracles in the sun and moon and stars, which we have been having these different type of eclipse, okay, taking place, and so on the earth there will be distress and anguish among nations, in perplexity at the rolling and tossing of the sea and waves. Let's look up the word perplexity here real quick. Okay. You see that? The state of one who is in perplexity. Let's look like this right here. Right here. To be without resource. Okay, to be without resources, to be in straits. And this is what this right here is gonna cause that, man. Okay, Australia Few Spy concern is gonna cause people to be what? To be without resources, food, war, war. Almost sound like a UK for a minute. Water, okay? All right, you're cooking, gas, all that is really gonna be up, because example, some people, do, have electricity and gas, for hot water or cooking. So if you don't have anyone to deliver that shit to you, how you gonna eat? How you gonna cook your meals if your house runs on gas? You see? Come on, man. Yeah, okay. It says to be without resources, to be in straits, meaning difficulties, to be left wanting, lacking, man, of food and all that, right? To be embarrassed, to be in doubt, to know which way to turn. Ooh-wee. You see that? Do you see that? Okay. Okay, you see, yeah. So this scripture right here, man, hey, we about to see this right here. So perplexity, right? That's people going through it. The sea and the waves are rolling. It was just you see what happened over there in Alaska and over there in Mexico. You see, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. And I'm eventually, if this shit, if Israel really want to run with this narrative, and once this hits like channel 9, channel 7, channel 10, breaking news, once it becomes breaking news, bro, everybody's gonna run out of fucking work trying to go get what? Gas, petrol. Everybody's gonna run to fucking Bunnings warehouse to make sure they have their cooking gas. All right, and their diesel for you see what I mean? Food, yeah, man. It says, men's heart failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Okay, let's go to the book of Matthew 24. Another thing that this right here could cause is going to be famine. Luke 24:7, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines. See, this itself here will cause famines over here in Australia. Okay? Lack of food, man. It can be caused by this right here. And pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. All these things are going to be the beginning of Jacob trouble. And we've been telling you that we are coming into Jacob trouble. And mind you, Jacob trouble is not just going to be in America. It's going to be worldwide. Whatever our people are being scattered, you're going to get hit with it. And there's hidden as well. All right? So let's go play this video. You know what? Before I do that, I must get this preset. It's like it. 2 Timothy 3:1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. In the NLT, you should know that this Timothy, that in the last days there will be very difficult times. Let's read this in the AMP. But understand this, that in the last days, dangerous times of great stress and trouble will come. Difficult days that will be hard to bear, man. Imagine if this, gets rushed on the news and it's breaking news, man. People gonna lose their fucking mind. And that's what, and that's what we're gonna start seeing precept I'm about to read in a minute start taking places. Ephesians 5:15, see then that you accept circumspectly, not as fools but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. So we have to be, and me making this lesson here, because at first I'm like, should I do it? Is it too much? Is not too much. I'm saying, like, is this legit or is it, fake news? You know what I'm saying? And then I keep seeing video popping up. I say, now this can't be fake news, man. This is a sign come from the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Hashem Yahshua, to do a lesson on it. There's a precept that says this, right? Quench. This is the book of 1 Thessalonians 5:13. It says, quench not the spirit, right? Despise not prophesying. Okay? I'm do this right. And do not quench, subdue, or be unresponsive to the working and guidance of the Holy Spirit. So, can't do that. You see something now and you see it lines up prophecies, you gotta do a lesson on it. And that's what I'm doing right now. Because at first I'm like, this gotta be fake news. But then I'm like, nah, redeeming the time and measuring the time, see what we're coming into. It got to be something. And we also know there will be famine of food. There will be, troubles. There will be certain events that are going to shake out people. And this right here could shake up Australians. Okay, 1 Thessalonians 5:20 in AMP. Do not scorn or reject gifts of prophecy or prophecies spoken in revelations, words of instructions or exhortation or warning. And this right here is a warning. Warning, right? So Ephesians 5:16, redeeming the time because the days are evil, wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. Understanding how the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Hashem is operating right now in these days, man. Once you understand that, then you really have to do lessons on that. You really have to, what you see, you can't be surprised with it, man. Okay? Let's go from here to the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 9. 2nd Ezra 9:1, he answered me then and said, measure out the time diligently in itself, when thou seest part of the sun's spots, which I've told thee before. But the key point is that we measure the time diligently, man. Steady watching, see what the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Hashem is trying to tell us. Not even trying to, telling us, man. Okay? So let's go from there and play, get this right here. There's another precept that came to me. What was that? Man, what was the precept? Slack here. You know what? I'm gonna just do this. 2nd Ezra. 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 20. And 24, he says, and that at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. And that these situations here will cause that, man. Everybody's gonna be in a survival mode. And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell on the ring. The springs of fountains shall stand still. You see that? And this itself also can cause that. Because you gotta understand that the regular water we drink nowadays is not the water we go and get from waterfalls, the how nature is supposed to be. Well, we don't have no wells. Is it well? Is that how you say it? We don't got them. We everything we have, food, water, whatever, it all comes from fucking Esau. He controls everything, man. Okay? So the springs of fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. You see? Esau could literally do that, man. Stop the whole, cause this whole event. Okay? There's diesel, there's fuel jet, there's all that. But Esau can't post to it, and blame somebody, blame this and that, and have you people looking fucking crazy out here, man. Second Ezra chapter 5, it's like Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 5. Behold, it said the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, sword, famine, and destruction. Famine. You see? Death and destruction, man. Verse 6, for wickedness I have extended through the whole earth, and they have for what's of a field. Remember, Esau is a sword, and the Heavenly Father is going to use him, man, nicely too. Okay, let's jump to verse 14. Woe to the world and them that do the ring, for the sword and the destruction drew nigh, and one people shall stand up, fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the cause of their action shall stand their power. Even this right here, this, the few being low here and there, it could cause down. People fucking rise up, man, start committing crimes. Hold up. Matthew 24 and 12. Because iniquity shall bound, the love of many shall wax cold. You see? Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into the sea, shall not be able. Martial law, this and all that, it could be caught in because of troubles. But on top of that, if you don't got no fucking car, it's like if you don't got no fuel, what you doing? Nothing. Oh, hold up. Hey, it's like I didn't mention this at first, though. What has Esau been trying to push, brothers and sisters? Everything to be what? Electric. They've been trying to cancel what? Fuel. And cars, that runs on petrol, have been trying to get, canceled out. Okay? So, this itself is, pushing their agenda still. Electric cars, man, also 15-minute cities. You ain't gotta fucking travel that far. You don't need gas. You can stay within this area or here. That's it. Man, I'm telling you, man. For because of their pride, cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and man shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread for great tribulation, man. You see? Let's come to 2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 19. I'm going to start from verse 17. Woe is me who delivered me in those days. Exactly, man. Ezra seen this right here, and he said, woe is me. Who's really who got me in those days, man? Who's going to deliver me out of it, right? Even though we know Ezra's going to be delivered out of it, but hey, that's the spirit we're supposed to be in. When all these hell break loose, or when we read these prophecies, man, we need Yahweh Shai. We need Yahweh Shai. All right? Verse 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of woes, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. By all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of scourges. Behold, victory shall be so good, cheap upon earth. Right now, gas is cheap, everything is looking good. But if this here heat, good luck. They shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils go up on earth, sword, famine, and great confusion, man. You got it? Okay, this it could be something that could hit Australia. We know something definitely coming out for sure. Okay, these plagues that we read about hasn't really hit a war yet, so we know something's coming up, and all we can do is wait and see how the Heavenly Father Yahweh Shemeshah got planned it out. Okay, so we're done, man. Hopefully this was edified. Brothers can go look into it, do lessons on it as well. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna play the video for you and a few minutes of it, and then after that, let it be. So, Shalom Akim, and also Shabbat Shalom.
Of fuel in this country has long been a debating point that governments don't seem to want to engage in. Now, there's some figures out from the Department of, I think it's Climate Change and Energy. I wouldn't normally be quoting them, but Climate Change, Energy and the Environment. And that has revealed, these figures, that Australia only has 28 days of petrol supply in reserve as of July. We also only have 20 days of jet fuel, of all things, and 24 days of diesel. We're also meant to have oil stores equivalent to 90 days worth of net imports. That's under a global treaty that we signed up to in the 1970s, but we only have 49 days worth, not the 90 days required. Joining me now, someone who you'll know well, and I've interviewed plenty of times, who has raised serious concerns about this lack of supply, former independent South Australian Senator Rex Patrick. Good to see you again. How did we ever end up in this situation, Rex?
Well, it's an awful situation that we are in, and it's really the neglect of successive governments to deal with what is a national security issue. If there's a conflict, and it doesn't have to be a conflict with Australia, but something that disrupts our fuel supplies coming from the Straits of Hormuz or from Singapore, we're in real trouble. Most people might think, my car might run out of petrol, but that's actually not what the worry is. Most of our country relies on diesel fuel. That's what keeps all the trucks rolling, the trains rolling, that keep all of the supplies coming to us. And we know that, for example, supermarkets typically have about 10 days worth of dry food, something like 7 days of frozen. Our hospitals typically have about 3 days worth of drugs to keep the hospital running, and that can all come to a rapid stop if we disrupt our fuel supplies. 24 days of diesel is simply not enough.
I remember Jim Molan, the former head of, former senator and former military figure. He wrote a book warning about this. What is it about Canberra politicians in particular that they don't seem to worry or care about this? I mean, it would seem, Rex, to be completely obvious that it's not good enough that we have only, 2 operating oil refineries ourselves, but we rely totally upon those shipping lanes and supplies of imported fuel.
Yeah, look, we really need to address this problem. And look, during my time in the Senate did pass legislation to help save those 2 refineries, but also to try and increase supplies, but only up to 30 days. And it just seems that particular project, it was about $260 million worth, hasn't yet resilience. We know during... we have to have the reserves to be able to do that as well. What we've found is that our refineries can't compete with some of the mega refineries in places like Singapore. And the government has acted to try and at least prop up the remaining 2 refineries. But we really do need to deal with storage. We had a situation in 2018, Exercise Pitch Black, a major Air Force exercise, multinational exercise, and we actually ran out of aviation fuel because one ship from Singapore was delayed. That should have focused Defence's mind, but they just don't seem to want to address this problem. It's a critical problem. It's a problem